The South African National Taxi Council says it will ensure commuters are ferried in safe, roadworthy vehicles and treated with fairness and dignity during the festive season. Now, as part of their continued efforts to uphold high standards in the industry, SANTACO is launching its Hlokomela Road Safety and Customer Service Campaign. This activation will focus on crucial vehicle roadworthiness checks and awareness engagements with taxi industry employees, all aimed at reinforcing the principles of responsible fleet oversight and ideal customer service. For more on this important initiative, we're joined by SANTACO Spokesperson Rebecca Phala. A very good afternoon to you, Rebecca. Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, you launched this campaign at a time when the Gauteng Transport Department has also launched a safety blitz. We were in conversation with them earlier, and they indicated that that is underway, and they've made quite a significant number of gains, I suppose, taking some minibus taxis off the road. Tell us how closely you work in tandem with the Department of Transport when you launch your safety campaigns, particularly in high volume periods such as the festive season and other periods.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for having us. So we activated the Hlokomela festive season campaign on the 30th of November alongside the National Department of Transport and all the provincial departments of transport. Hlokomela is SANTACO's response and also a complement to government's efforts to ensure that South Africans are ferried in roadworthy vehicles. And so for us, it is a collaborative effort that we've heightened, and you've already spoken about the principles of safety on the roads as well as ideal customer service that we're really prioritizing. And so we do not in any way have a problem with the work that government in Gauteng, for example, has done. In fact, we appreciate it because it speaks to the same sort of principles that we're also working around. And of all the activations that we're doing, we were just in Okmo taxi rank in Tembisa yesterday, and the day before that we're in Northern in Limpopo, and we do all of these in collaboration with government and law enforcement, because whilst we've got the responsibility of ensuring that our member vehicles are roadworthy and that customers are treated well, the issues of ensuring that if a vehicle is not roadworthy, there are fines that are being issued, or perhaps the vehicle is being impounded, solely sit legislatively with law enforcement and government. So we appreciate the collaboration. We appreciate that the safety of commuters continues to be prioritized, and that sufficient action is being taken where it is found that vehicles may pose a threat to the safety of commuters, especially in this very busy period.
Rebecca, your campaign is aimed at, or described rather, as a commuter wellness initiative. Does this include the health screening for drivers mentioned in previous Gauteng activations?
We absolutely do that. So in the taxi ranks that we've been going to, we've been doing it in collaboration with either private or also public health providers. In Limpopo just last week, we were also even doing eye tests, for example, and there has been a partner who's also come on to say for those drivers that are perhaps found to be having sight challenges, they've even gone as far as donating set of spectacles for them to be able to see well. So yes, a big part of it is that we look out for the well-being of the drivers, and where we are finding that they may need support, we then collaborate with partners, especially in the private sector, who often offer to give the necessary support. So definitely, we cannot be telling them to rest and not drive when fatigued, all while we're not giving them any support if it is found that they've got some defects which could very well hinder the ability for them to ferry our commuters safely.
Spectacles, that's quite some foresight on your part, a pun very much intended there. I mean, you recently also signed an MOU with long-distance drivers. What does that entail?
So what it entails is you would appreciate that long-distance drivers, the work that they do is a lot more trickier than many other role players in the public transport sector. For example, those that drive to the Eastern Cape that were interacted with in Northern drive for as long as 13 hours. That is incredibly hectic. So one of the issues that are entailed in the agreement is for every owner of a vehicle to see to it that they have more than one driver. At the very least, they must have two drivers who are undertaking a trip so that when one is incredibly exhausted, they are being relieved there. And we do not compromise on issues of safety, but also the health of the driver in question. The other issue is the issue of the conditions of the vehicles that they ferry people in, especially because a lot of them who go to provinces like the Eastern Cape also find themselves driving it very late when the roads are not as visible as they would have been during the day. And so you need to be ferrying people in a vehicle that is really of good condition, that lights are working well, but also that the vehicles are comfortable. So the other issue is the issue of the kind of vehicles that they're ferrying the commuters in, to say they have to be as comfortable as possible. A number of the vehicle manufacturers have also been brought into that conversation, with a few brands seeming to be taking a lead in that particular regard in comparison to those who would perhaps be ferrying people on a local basis. And then there's also the issue of usage of trailers for purposes of luggage, also for long distance traveling. It is also contained in there to say that it has to be standardized. We've been flagging and also hearing from law enforcement that there's a big challenge of overloading that they are seeing with our long distance traveling. And so to respond to that proactively, we've had to standardize the usage of trailers, especially when it is found that the traveling is coming with a lot of luggage, although we're also still saying to our commuters that they need to try as much as possible to travel as light as possible. That whole time of traveling with groceries and all these other major goods that you could buy when you arrive at your respective destination, perhaps in the villages, needs to really be re-looked at.
Rebecca, if a commuter feels unsafe or experiences poor services during their festive travel, what's the most effective and immediate channel to report this to SANTACO?
So we've got a call center number that they can use, but also we've found that our commuters have been very appreciative of the social media platforms that we have, and we appreciate them for using those as well. The call center number is 012 321 1043, 012 321 1043. They can call us on that number and we will immediately take the issues that we ask them to prioritize the registration plate if it relates to a vehicle that they're perhaps not happy with, and also to prioritize the area where they are, be it a taxi rank or maybe if they are on a road and there's some problem with the trip. It helps us to speedily attend to the matters that they would have raised. On all the social media platforms, it's SANTACO National. The team is on standby to respond to any of the queries that may be brought forth. And so we encourage our commuters to get in touch with us and help us make better the service that we're giving to South Africa's commuting public.
That was SANTACO spokesperson Rebecca Phala.